Hello, good afternoon, everyone. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of Team Avatar and myavatar.com to the Diversity Mahotsav 2022. My name is Lakshmi Vijay Kumar and I will be your host for today's evening. Before we start, I just want to do a quick hygiene checks for a seamless virtual experience for each one of you. Please close all other applications that are running on your computer and do not forget to log out from your organization's VPN to conserve bandwidth. First, we would like to thank our partners, featured partners, Kellogg Brown and Root Engineering and Construction India Private Limited and Saint Gobain India Private Limited. And my dear participants, our social media hashtags are hashtag diversity mahotsav, hashtag celebrating diversity. Do post your experience at Diversity Mahotsav on your SM handles with the relevant hashtags. I would also like to inform you all that all the Diversity Mahotsav episodes are being live streamed on your YouTube channel. Scan the QR code that is seen on your mobile screens or laptops or computers to watch the Diversity Mahotsav live on YouTube. Alternatively, you can also use the link to go and watch the episodes. Before we begin, my dear participants, let me invite you to participate in a small activity. On the chat window, you will see a link which is menti.com. I want you to go to the link and start posting what is your current state of mind. Please type in the code that is seen there on the screen, which is 51756761. When you go to menti.com, use this code and please write in one word what is your state of mind right now. And I would like to see your answers now. Can I have your responses? Relaxation. Wow. Anxious. Getting a job. Recovery. Hope. Okay. We are in the month of December, close to the end of another exciting year. A year that was full of learnings, revelations, and so much. We found solutions, resolutions, and celebrations. Yes, we found solutions to a lot of things that we didn't have any answers for in the beginning of the year. Energy. Yes, yes, absolutely. Solutions. Thank you. Calm. Calm is such a powerful word, don't you think so? Yes, beautiful curiosity, the curiosity of what lies ahead. Yes, but instead of being curious, I think you should just go with the flow. New expectations, absolutely. All of us have these wonderful expectations. Excited. Totally. We're all excited to be part of this. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much. Wow. Beautiful. Learned something new. I love these. Feeling thankful, gratitude. One must never forget to do that. Gratitude. Oh, this is so beautiful. Gratitude, learning, opportunities, waiting, anxious, grateful. Wow, serene. Such a beautiful word, serene and calm. To catch. That's nice. To catch what? To catch up with what we didn't finish last year or to catch up with what the world is going to set the pace at. Amazing. Amazing. Thank you. Thank you. This is such a wonderful audience. I'm not going to stop at that. So I'm going to have another activity for all of you. That was really amazing. Kudos to all of you. So I have another small activity. I'm going to bring up a poll and I want you to take this poll very seriously. There are going to be multiple choice questions related to your identity and personality. And for each question, you have multiple choice. So the first question is, which generational cohort do you belong to? Do you belong to the veterans, 1920 to 1945? Are you the free gen, born before 1960? Or the Gen X, born before 1970 and between 1961, 61? Or are you the E-Gen? Or are you the millennials? 1981 to 1996 that have occupied all our workspaces in the last decade or so? Or are you the Gen Z born in the early 2000s? Amazing. Which city did you all grow up in? What kind of movies do you like? And people, I want you to remember the choices that you are making because there is going to be a surprise. What type of drink you like? Oh my God, everybody likes fruit juices. This is wonderful. Caffeine. We have very health conscious people out here in this forum today, I must say. Oh my God. And we have a pan India audience that watches almost all type of movies. Amazing. Amazing. Because everybody seems to be watching all films. Tamil, Malayalam, Bangla, Hindi, English, French, Korean, everything. Amazing. Amazing, amazing. So we have about 45 people who have participated. We still have close to 30 of them who have not participated. Let me urge you to quickly take this poll and we will end it in the next few minutes. And then we will move on to our next segment. So quickly make your choice. Or is it the age question that is making you taking a lot of time of yours to give the appropriate answer? It's okay. Nobody will know. You just choose an appropriate generation that you want to choose to. Yes, great, great. Okay, now we have about 80% that have participated. The last and final call for all those who haven't participated, quickly take your choices. Yes. And do remember the choices that you all are making. Do not forget. Do remember the choice with respect to your age, the city, and the drink that you like and the movie that you have chosen. Yeah? Okay, we can end the poll. Thank you so much, participants. That was lovely. We had all of you participating. This was really, really lovely. Almost 80-85% of you have participated. So thank you so much for the participation. We end the poll now and we will display yes, the results are there. So now I'm going to request two volunteers to come up. I want one volunteer from either the Free Gen or the Gen X or maybe the, you know, millennials. No, actually, I want one Free Gen or the Gen X and a Gen Z to come forward or raise your hand. I want two volunteers, one from the Gen X and one from the Gen Z. Could you please raise your hand? We have two participants that have raised hands. Uh, may I request my tech support team to allow them to unmute themselves? And quickly, can you introduce yourselves, both of you?
Hi, Lakshmi. My name is
Hi.
Anmita.
Hi, Anu. So you
Lovely to meet you.
represent, same here. So you represent the Gen Z, is it?
Millennium.
Millennial. Okay. So can I have somebody from the Free Gen or the Gen X? We have a millennial here. Can someone quickly raise your hand? Okay, let me. Sriram. Thank you, Sriram.
Hi.
Hi. Hi, Sriram sir. Thank you so much. So quickly, I want you both to tell us what are the choices that you made with respect to the movies and drinks? And then I will post my next question. Quickly.
Movies, I made Hollywood, Bollywood.
Okay.
Drinks, should I say? Coffee.
Okay. Anu, over to you.
Okay, well, so drinks was, I think, health drinks or fruit juices. I'm not too sure about which one I clicked. One of these two, though.
Okay.
And the movies was pretty much any language.
Any language. So, Anu, you have exactly 30 seconds to convince Sriram as why your choice is better than his. Exactly 30 seconds.
Because entertainment bars language, you can pretty much art actually bars or all languages. There's no language barrier when it comes to art. So as long as there is a subtitle to may help you understand there are emotions that flow through any movie to help you understand that art form. Yeah.
Sriram sir, over to you. Why do you think your choices are better than Anu's?
No, at an early age, we start doing health drinks and we miss out on a lot of fun. That's what I feel. people should be wealth conscious. I do understand that, but a lot of people start that at a very early age, and that is where I think you need to have uh, you have everything in control. There's no problem. You indulge at the same time you exercise and have a. I mean, don't miss out on anything. That's my request to the younger generation. And movies, of course, no, today whether that I agree. You have Hollywood, Bollywood, English, Hindi. You go to the OTT, and then you have subtitles, and you can say everything and anything. You don't really need to worry about which language are you saying, as long as you're enjoying the content.
Great. Thank you so much, Sriram and Anumita. Differences, what brings us together? There were a few connects that both Anumita and Sriram brought, right? So, diversity is what makes all of us, right? What is diversity? Diversity is the blending of different backgrounds, experiences, and perspectives. Thank you, Anumita and Sriram, once again for your excellent participation. And with that, let's begin the celebrations about diversity, equity, and inclusion in the month of December. Thank you so much, Anu and Sriram, once again.
Thank
So,
you.
thank you, sir. So, inclusion is what when we believe in the fact that emphasizing the differences helps in bringing value to organizations. Diversity is equal to freedom of expression, freedom of expressing oneself, freedom of bringing one's own authentic self. Inclusion and equity help in creating a sustainable culture within an organization which will be undertaken with great care and attention to different perspectives. Well, Avatar, a pioneer in the field of diversity, equity, and inclusion, had the vision to see more women participate in the workforce. While we have expanded our impact across the diversity strands to cover people with special needs, disabilities, LGBTQ, to name a few, we have also recognized the need to mainstream discussions around diversity, equity, and inclusion. And therefore, Diversity Mahotsav, a month long celebration brought to you by myavatar.com, which is Avatar's diversity hiring portal, is one of its kind initiative which aims to look for multi-pronged strategies to explore the world of opportunities out there for diverse groups. Diverse in its approach with experiential sessions, success stories, skill building workshops. Diversity Mahotsav recognizes the fact that one size doesn't fit all and that there is a need for different levels of intervention. I once again welcome you all on behalf of Team Avatar, India's premier diversity, equity, and inclusion solutions firm, and myavatar.com, which is India's only diversity hiring portal to Diversity Mahotsav. Let's celebrate ourselves. Let's celebrate diversity. On that note, I would like to invite Dr. Soundarya Rajesh, founder president Avatar, to deliver the welcome address. Dr. Soundarya Rajesh set up Avatar, a social enterprise focusing on creating diverse, equitable, and inclusive organizations in the year 2000. Today, 22 years after, Dr. Soundarya is recognized not only as having created several careers for women on breaks, but also for pioneering the discipline of diversity, equity, and inclusion and in Indian workplaces. She has won accolades such as the Ministry of Women and Child Development's 100 Women Achiever Award, Twitter's Web Wonder Women Award, the Winds of Change 2019 Award by the Minnesota Forum on Workplace Inclusion, Niti Aayog's Women Transforming India Award. Dr. Soundarya's book, The 99-Day Diversity Challenge, published by Sage, won the first prize for the Book of the Year Award 2021 from the Indian Society for Training and Development. It is my honor and pride to also take this opportunity to announce that Avatar has recently been recognized and listed in the Asia Pacific Steward Leadership 25 Annual Listing 2022 towards transforming workplaces for gender inclusion by the Stewardship Asia Center, INSEAD Hoffman Global Institute for Business and Society, Willis Towers Watson, and the Straits Times. Before we have Dr. Soundarya give her welcome address, let's have a look at an AV of Dr. Soundarya.
So how did corporate India change its mind? All big social change begins with a small emotion. It was 1996 and Dr. Soundarya Rajesh, then a young banker who had dropped out of the workforce as a response to maternity and childcare, decided to resume her career.
I set up Avatar in 2000, an enterprise dedicated to increasing the presence of mothers and women with caregiving responsibilities in the Indian workplace.
Dr. Soundarya Rajesh ensured that diversity, equity and inclusion entered not just the vocabulary of talent managers, but also the boardrooms of India's top businesses. She has successfully converged compelling data from primary research and powerful consulting solutions.
Her clarity of thought and the powerful talks in many public forums has influenced many a leader. Her relentless conviction to transform the large employers of India is unmatched.
Evolution has been one of positive impact in multiple ways. Over 1 lakh women have re-entered the workplace in the years 2005 to 2022 as a result of Avatar's efforts. Over 1,000 organizations have made gender inclusion, hiring of women and women on break as an organizational policy. Over 500 organizations have increased the ratio of women in their workplaces by over 15% due to the interventions by Avatar. Besides gender inclusion, Dr. Soundarya's work has also led to the acceptance and inclusion of more numbers of people from the LGBTQ community, persons with disability, and senior citizens. Dr. Soundarya Rajesh describes herself as an actionist. Her actions, spurring from the moment when she came face to face with discrimination at the workplace, causing her to create good businesses, have led to a transformation in the way companies approach diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Wonderful good afternoon and a hearty welcome to each one of you at Diversity Mahotsav 2022. I'm very, very delighted to greet you all at this one-of-a-kind event brought to you by myavatar.com, which, as you know, is India's only diversity hiring portal that is part of the Avatar Group. And this is the second edition of Diversity Mahotsav. What a year 2022 has been. Great learnings, revelations, transformation, both organizational and individual, greater connects with each other, a lot of focus on mental health, the somewhat end of pandemic, the emergence of hybrid working as a powerful way in which we all can be efficient, and the list just goes on. Above all, we at Avatar saw a massive upsurge of opportunities for people from diverse talent pools. And this is something I am so proud of because the hiring this year has been really human-centric. And that means people were hired for skills, for attitude, for fitness to purpose, and not just for their experience or for technical qualification. As we draw close to yet another exciting year in the space of diversity, equity, and inclusion, it is time for us to celebrate this beautiful sense of difference between all of us. It is time to celebrate inclusivity. And that is what Diversity Mahotsav is all about. You know, the word Mahotsav, that actually categorizes fantastic celebration. I mean, why are we calling it Mahotsav and not just Utsav? I think Mahotsav creates a certain kind of expectation with regard to the way in which we would celebrate this beautiful sense of each one of us being individualistic, being different, yet part of a collective whole. Diversity Mahotsav is brought to you by myavatar.com, which is India's only diversity hiring portal, diversity portal, and it is part of the Avatar Group. As you know, at Avatar, it is our constant endeavor to assist people from diverse backgrounds, people from underrepresented talent pools, in not only finding the right jobs, but also becoming a part of inclusive and equitable workplaces. As we set ourselves to face and embrace the amazing 2023, which lies ahead of us, I think what we are trying to do at Diversity Mahotsav is blend purpose and passion with work, which will determine the course of each of our professional lives. A course which could well change the way India is seen and the way the world works for good. And that goodness is something that we at Avatar have been focusing on for quite a bit in the past few months. We began the financial year in 2022 with an initiative called Business is Good. And during the Best of the Best conference, which happened a couple of weeks ago, we launched the Business is Good initiative for all corporates who are generous and who focus on the value of goodness. What Business is Good does is to actually invite large corporates, DEI mature corporates, to mentor small businesses within their ecosystem, including vendors, suppliers, distribution channel partners, and so on, in implementing DEI practices, DEI startup kits. The benefits of having a diverse, equitable, and inclusive workplace are manifold. There are direct increases in your top line growth. There is greater productivity, greater creativity, a better sense of trust, and all of this are benefits which have been actually seen firsthand by the large corporates which have become complete converts to the philosophy of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Why should this be restricted only to large corporates? Small, medium enterprises and startups also are absolutely beneficial when it comes to employing these practices in their workplaces. So, under BIG, we have thrown open the doors of implementing diversity, equity, and inclusion in a budget-friendly manner to all startups and small and medium enterprises. Moreover, you will have mentors from large corporates who, in their generosity, in their focus on goodness, in their willingness to share best practices, will come on board as mentors to you in helping you truly leverage the power of DEI in your workplace. Avatar's goal has always been increasing women's workforce participation. And we want to look at not small numbers, but big BHAGs, audacious goals. We want to increase women's workforce participation in Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 cities by ensuring that 5 lakh women enter the workforce by 2027. That's 5 years from now. And we are hoping that these 5 lakh women spur and inspire many, many more lakhs of women, and who are able to actually ensure that India truly leverages the potential of women's workforce participation. And we hope to achieve this by the soon to be launched My Avatar app. Watch out for the further announcements in this space for the launch of the app. This edition of Diversity Mahotsav will comprise a series of events that will have only one overarching objective: creating a big impact, a truly phenomenal impact on all organizations and people who work in those organizations about the power of being truly inclusive, of ensuring equity at every level, not just what is given by the organization to the people, but also the kind of equity, the kind of understanding, allyship, and support that we all give to each other. This year, we will have 16 days of celebration, of knowing, sharing, and calling out different identities, and actually understanding what makes each of these identities so very unique. And with that, we will be carrying with us the promise of inclusion into the new year. The sessions, each day's sessions, which will run for 1 hour exactly, are meant to bring you bite-sized learnings and experiences of industry experts who possess a ringside view of how equitable and inclusive workplaces benefit from diverse audiences. There will be skill-building workshops, and you will be listening to real-time experiential stories of success and progress made by groups to know how diversity and inclusion today have become essential mantras for business success. This year, I am thrilled and delighted to share with you that Diversity Mahotsav's reach is expanding to higher educational institutions. We wish to promote the awareness of DEI in students who are the future of our country. They are our future corporate leaders, mentors, citizens of a progressive India. And I am very, very thrilled to announce the launch of Diversathon, a paper presentation competition for educational institutions where you can actually provide ideas for creating a more diverse, equitable, and inclusive India Inc. We will have an entire day dedicated to college students who will present original papers on various topics on the field of diversity, equity, and inclusion practices, and breakthrough ideas for ensuring that every workspace is inclusive and leverages the power of diversity. With this, I invite nominations from all educational institutions who are seeing this podcast today, and I would like to welcome you. If you are a higher educational institution, please come forward for a paper submission. Please write to lakshmi@avatarcc.com. That is lakshmi@avatarcc.com for further information. Let me tell you that the top 3 winners will receive a certificate of merit along with other surprise gifts. If you are a woman professional listening to this and you are on a career break, I want you to pay attention to Diversity Mahotsav, because you will hear from many women who have made successful comebacks. If you are someone looking for an inclusive workplace to rise to the fullest of your potential, you will hear from some of our corporates who have seamlessly integrated work and life, breaking the most fierce of barriers. As you attend and experience the sessions in Diversity Mahotsav from the comfort of your home or office, we hope that you will take back valuable insights and a well-rounded idea about the limitless possibilities which are offered by being diverse, equitable, and inclusive. I would like to take this opportunity to thank our featured partner, Kellogg Brown and Root Engineering and Construction India Private Limited, for their support to Diversity Mahotsav 2022. I take this opportunity to welcome each one of you to the second edition of Diversity Mahotsav. Let the celebrations begin.
Thank you so much, Dr. Soundarya. We have some exciting days ahead. Yes, we have introduced a new segment for the higher education institutions, details of which will soon be available in our next episodes. You will soon hear from us on the date of the when we will have the paper presentations, as well as the winners disclosure date. All right. So we are here to celebrate diversity, the wins of people like you and me, the wins that make our unique identities even more unique. And guess what? Today we have with us someone who is unique, who is equal, and yet different. Yes, you guessed it right. We have with us Anita Bhogle, partner Pro Search Consultants. Anita Bhogle, she requires no introduction. Yet, I will try my humble attempt to give a brief introduction of Anita to you all. So, Anita is a postgraduate in statistics from IIT Bombay and has done her management at IIM Ahmedabad. Anita has reinvented herself almost every decade. In her early years of her career, she spent her time spent in advertising and then market research, market consultancy, and then the next 2 decades, along with her sports broadcaster husband Harsha Bhogle, she ran a highly successful motivational series called The Winning Way: Learnings from Sport for Managers. The series was then translated into a book by the same name, and it was sold. The number of copies, a whopping 125,000 copies were sold, and a new genre in motivational speaking came into being. Anita went on to set up BIS Pundits, India's first video learning library for managers, which was eventually sold to an edtech company. Anita holds different identities. She, of course, is an author. She is an established Indian woman professional, wife of Mr. Harsha Bhogle, mother to two sons. Anita is also a yoga and a Sudoku enthusiast, and she calls herself an amateur keyboard player. I'm sure she's not an amateur, I'm sure she is a professional in that as well. Ladies and gentlemen, and team, and everyone, it is my pleasure and honor to welcome Anita Bhogle to the second edition of Diversity Mahotsav. Welcome, Anita.
Thank you, Lakshmi, for this very kind introduction, and thank you to Avtar for having me here on this first day of the Mahotsav. And I love this expression, Diversity Mahotsav, because I think diversity needs to be celebrated.
Thank you, Anita.
Organizations have to learn to embrace diversity, and I think, therefore, it's time to celebrate.
Thank you, Anita. Thank you. So quickly, I'm just going to jump into the conversation.
Sure.
So in the recent past, we have seen the voices. You said, diversity needs to be celebrated. It's something. The voices have emerged in the recent past, in the last 5 years or so, and even a little earlier, and the importance of DEI. Everybody has started talking about the importance of DEI. Women particularly have become vocal about their identity, their careers, especially. Right? What
Yes.
is the origin of equal yet different?
Firstly, I want to say that, the more the voices, the better it is for the cause. And so I've also added my book, Equally Yet Different, to the whole conversation. So if you ask me about the origin of Equal Yet Different, actually it has its roots in the Winning Way, which, like you said, Harsha and I have been running for over 20 years now. And in the 20 years, the number of women in the audience have not only become younger, meaning younger than us, but also there are many, many more women. And I'm just so happy to see that. So the entry level looks very exciting, very robust, but you still don't find enough leaders, or you don't find enough women in decision making roles and policy making roles. So that really was the issue. And then when I started talking to women, I realized that the formula that we were advocating for winning, because in the Winning Way we talk a lot about winning and success, and we talked about a concept called the winning triangle, where we said that a combination of ability, attitude, and passion puts you in a good position to win, and that's true of any profession. So whether you are a musician or you're a sports person or you're a corporate, that is enough. But by and by, I realized that while this was good, it wasn't enough for women. Women require something a little extra, and that's probably because men have more control over their own destinies, but women have their destinies tied to their families. And so the choices that they make, even the personal choices, whether to get married, whether to have children, how many children to have, all this impacts,
Absolutely.
women's careers. And so, like I said, the starting line is great. And I've looked at professional women, so they're all equal, come through the system, qualified. So equal in terms of ability and ambition. But somehow their own conditioning and the challenges that they face have made them different, and therefore the kind of name Equally Yet Different. And let me tell you, the biggest response to my book since it's been launched has been for the title, and a lot of women have said it's absolutely right, because that is the way women need to be treated and want to be treated. So there are a lot of books, but I just thought that I wanted a slightly different approach. I don't want to tell my story or just single stories. I wanted to make it more issue-based, researched, because now we have a pool of women that's growing steadily, but it's big enough to learn from. And I wanted to keep the book very hopeful, very positive, good learning experience, and so equally different.
Absolutely. It summarizes the fact, we are equal, but then the needs of women, the needs of a woman professional at every stage in her career is absolutely different. It's not the same as what men bring in, the needs
True.
and wants, right? So, absolutely fantastic. Anita, that brings us to the next question, right? So, that there is a business and a cultural case for DI is very well established, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So we know the talent case also, right? That there is a
Yes.
talent case. Why do you think that the things, in the space of DEI or in the organizations are not moving fast enough? And do you think, I mean, what is the role do you think that women themselves can play in moving the needle
Sure. Sure.
faster? Yeah.
So the way I see it, DEI is really a science and an art. So the science bit is really policy. And I think many things have been put in place. Not all of them have been completely effective. So, for example, companies give the HR folks diversity targets, when they hire people, and the way they go about doing it. And I don't blame them, but they hire the women first on campus. And if there aren't any women who are not good enough, or who are, not good enough, then they go to the men. But unfortunately, these women get labeled as diversity candidates. And that's not a label, any woman wants to start her career with. So while the intent is good, somehow the methodology is not great. Similarly, I think, you need a lot more flexibility, and because sometimes, things are not practical, policy is not practical. So for example, startups, where the pace of work is so high, or even SMEs, they cannot afford the 6-month maternity leave. So some amount of flexibility and things like that. Having said that, there is, some thought that has been given to policy, but policy is not enough, right? So that's where the art comes in, where it is about culture building, creating that kind of culture, and it's about changing mindsets. And mindsets obviously take a lot of time to, be changed. So organizations still assume that, women are focused more on homes. Their ambition is lower once they have children. There is a lot of bias in the system where, they are not given the difficult assignments, and that kind of catches up with them later when, they are selected for, or they come up for consideration in leadership roles, and they're not looked upon as, very strong candidates. And of course, domestic responsibility is there. But yes, what you said is true. Women themselves need to invest in themselves, because you need to have done the hard yards right in the beginning. So do your P&L responsibility, take on the tough markets, do all that, and also invest in other skills, because typically women look at their own functional skills, but they don't look at the bigger picture. They don't look at other aspects of business. And those things come in, are very important, when it comes to leadership. So that's why I feel that, you need to sensitize people to get rid of the bias. You need to just grow the numbers to shed stereotypes. And we'll get there, I guess, with so many of us trying hard.
Anita, you said diversity is a combination of science and art.
That's
So,
right.
do you think today the India Inc. and where all women professionals like you and me can we comfortably say that we are at the intersection of both science and art at the moment?
Yes, and they have to go hand in hand, because, like I said, the danda, the compliance can take you only that far. Unless there is inclusion with diversity, and you might push the numbers, but unless there's inclusion, it's not going to help.
Yes, absolutely. So, the ladies who are watching us, please remember what Anita said. We all have a role to play in the
Absolutely.
pursuit of equity, inclusion, and diversity. So, let me ask you another question, Anita.
Sure.
We all talk about allies, right? And you speak about allies in your book. You speak about allies and enablers in your book. So, let's talk about allies. Who, according to you, is an ally for a woman professional? I'm not even saying Indian woman professional. Let's keep it woman
Sure,
professional.
sure.
Yeah.
So 2, 3 categories really, Lakshmi. One is your support system at home, because unless you have things looked after at home, and unfortunately the responsibility is still on the woman. So we are talking about reality, and so you need a good support system, whether it's paid help, parents, whatever. So that is the first. The second is what we typically call mentors or bosses, and I think Avatar's research has also shown that mentors and having good employers, all these are better enablers than money for women, right? So there are multiple researches that show this. And so mentors who will kind of nudge you to aim higher, who will point out to opportunities that don't normally come your way in larger organizations, help you navigate your career, things like that. Those are really what mentors or bosses do. Apart from that, I would say you need allies who will call out bias in the system. So not only should they be DEI kind of sensitive, but they should also be DEI champions. Because a lot of times, women don't get listened to, they get overlooked. And when people see that, they should be able to call out the bias, men, women, anybody, so that, women get fair opportunities and a level playing field. So that is what I would say allies, different types of allies are.
You certainly have an ally at home, right? In your earlier book, The Winning
Yes.
Way, was co-authored with your husband Harsha Bhogle. You both make a great team. There are three parts to this question, Anita, that I'm going to
Okay.
ask. The first part I want to ask you is, we just spoke about the different support systems that one has and one builds around those support systems. But I want to ask you one thing. What are the common traps you think that women typically fall in while building this support system, these enablers, the allyship both at home and at work, and how can they avoid those?
Sure. Yes, what you say is right. We've had a great partnership. It's based on trust and respect, and we've worked happily without egos coming in the way for, like I said, over 20 years. I'm not sure he's been a great ally at home because he's not been around most of the time, and I've been a single parent, like a single parent at most times. So to that extent, I have also been challenged, but then my situation has been quite different from what most people go through. Um, yeah, you need to do a few things for this allyship, like you said. Um, you know, we are so ingrained in patriarchy, men and women both. Men feel entitled when are used to certain privileges, and women somehow are stuck with very gender typical roles. I think somewhere you should behave equal, and you should believe that you are equal. And even the load at home must be distributed not just by gender, but depending on people's ability, inclination, strengths, and things like that, so that the work distribution is both fair, and only the women are not stuck with the grunt work, because a lot of a load that the women take is very thankless, and they could use, I mean, if that is taken off, then they can invest, like I said, in other things, in skilling and in networking and doing things like that, which typically they don't have time to do. So definitely, that is something one needs to do. Also, I feel that in most homes, earning power decides share of voice.
Ah.
And if the husband is a little older and then the woman has a couple of breaks because of maternity, that gap only widens.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, then, it's very difficult to make up, and all opportunities then go the man's way. So whether it is transfers or, other opportunities,
Absolutely.
somehow economics decides, pure finance decides that all opportunities go the man's way. So I think that needs to change as well.
I must tell you, Anita, I don't know if you noticed when you spoke about Harsha being an ally at home, there were quite a few many thumbs up and hearts, emojis coming your way to that. I thought I'll just let you know that.
Yes.
A quick personal question, is Harsha more a partner at work or at home?
Of course, at work. And I've learned a lot of things from him. So typically I'm the kind of person, when an opportunity comes, I will wait and I will see whether, I will question myself to see whether I, can manage it, whether I'll be able to handle it and things like that. Whereas he would probably say, grab the opportunity and then back yourself to, do whatever is required. So those kind of things, because I mean, like I've written in the book, I've also got many of these attributes that typically women face, So sometimes you go through the self-doubt, sometimes you go through the imposter syndrome and things like that. So there's
Yes.
a lot that women can learn just by observing men and putting themselves in a man's shoes and saying, what can I learn from here, and how would the man have handled it? I have myself done it.
Actually, that brings me to the next question, Anita. I want to ask you this. You spoke about what you wrote in the book. So
Yeah.
I'm sure there would have been a lot of self discoveries for yourselves,
Of course,
right?
and,
Some
an
surprises.
opportunity to introspect and reflect on my own life as well. What could I have done differently?
So,
Certainly.
what is the role of the pause button that you
Yeah,
speak about in your book?
yes.
Mm.
After I wrote the book, I realized that, while it's an easy read, uh, I don't want people to just kind of look at solutions and say, okay, what did so and so do? What did so and so do? Because there are lots of inspiring stories over there. A lot of them that make you angry as well and make you restless, but a lot of inspiring stories over there. But everybody's journey is different, and so there are no ready-made solutions. So although there are inspiring stories, you just need to use those stories to think about your own situation. And so, like I said, like I did, I want everybody to, whoever reads the book, man, woman, organizational, from the point of view, I want people to reflect and introspect and think about, how you can change, because that is basically what I'm trying to do through the book: change mindsets, change the situation.
Wow, change the situation. I can see a lot of questions coming up, Anita. I'm going
Sure.
to wrap up finally before we get on to the audience Q&A. Can you quickly tell us what would be the top 3 or 4 things that organizations must do? And
Okay.
then one piece of advice to all the millennials and the Gen Zs that are aspiring women professionals out here.
Um, Organizations, a couple of things, and some of them are obviously easier than the others. One is, I think every policy needs to be put through the gender lens, because not all policies are kind of, gender just. Even something as simple as working late, is not great from a woman's point of view. So whether she has to work late, it's not comfortable. If her spouse works late, that again puts pressure on her. So many things, whether it is, team building exercises, whether it's FaceTime with leaders, all such policies need to be put through the gender lens. Secondly, I think culture starts at the top. And so I think all, DEI initiatives must be part of the leaders' KPIs. Then I think organizations must send the right signals. So encourage men to take paternity leave, because child is a joint responsibility and a joint decision. And so if the man takes paternity leave, then it just helps the woman come back to work earlier. So that is one. And one of my favorites, which is to ask in every forum, ask the question. You can't leave the room before you ask the question, why don't we have enough women here? Because it has to stay in the collective consciousness of the organization. Because sometimes, it's not like men don't want women. It's just more convenient to come up with names. And most of the times, then the names that, come up are male. So they're not deliberately trying to do that, but to ensure that women are there in the consideration, they need to ask this question. So that's about organization. Quick thing for women, I think not hold back, but dream and articulate your dream, which is why I've said, one of my chapters called Dream Aloud. So definitely that. And investing, whether it's in the support system, look at it as an investment, not a cost, and invest in yourself, because that is a huge investment. And the last one, which again is my favorite, don't be too hard on yourself. Because women end up and spend a lot of energy on guilt, and it's completely useless. So just have a thick skin. Don't try to do everything. Just do a great job of, whatever you're good at, and feel fulfilled.
Wow, that was like a mini training program, Anita. I must tell you, gender lens, ask questions, and for women, dream, invest in yourself, don't be hard on yourself. Amazing. It was almost like a mini training program for me. Thank you so much, Anita. I'm
Thank
going
you.
to take up the questions if you
Sure.
may allow me to. So, there is a very interesting question out here.
Okay.
Somebody says that Harsha recently mentioned in a session that I am assuming it is Harsha here, had the pleasure to be part of that you thought about diversity years ago and much before Harsha did. Any specific reason for that?
Why I thought about diversity much before. I guess.
No, Harsha has mentioned that he had the pleasure to be part of that you thought as Anita about diversity years ago, much before Harsha did. As in, like Harsha, you, as in Anita thought about diversity much before Harsha did. Harsha has mentioned this apparently at
Yes.
a session
Yes.
somewhere. And is there any specific
Yes.
reason for that?
I think it's a man's world, and all the rules are made for men, and men just find it comfortable, and they're not really bothered by it. So unless there is a personal experience or something like that, where your own wife or your own daughter goes through, not so nice experience, I think men are quite comfortable in their own world, right? They don't feel the need to for this. It's the women who miss opportunities. It's the women whose careers get compromised. Definitely feel about it a lot more. I must say, I'm very privileged that way, and also I've been self-employed for most of the years, and so I've not had to face so much discrimination. But yes, in other walks in life, most certainly I have felt it more. It's only when he read my book that he realized, oh, like, I've also been part of this. And a lot of men are reacting to the book like that, and a lot of people say men must read the book.
Thank you. I hope you got the question answered, anonymous attendee. So we also have Rashmi, who has asked a very interesting question, Anita, and I think
Sure.
you're best placed to answer this. What is the one thing that we need to teach the children today to change the narrative on gender roles? So close to all our hearts.
Yeah, I think, we have brought up our daughters to be like sons, to do everything. Yeah. And we see it as a step up. Oh, woman can drive, woman can invest, woman can earn. Great. When men do work that, typically women have done, it's seen as a step down. I think that kind of behavior has to go. And even in terms of emotion, you encourage the boys to feel, oh, independent, courageous, and this and that. Girls can that be that too. So bring them up again the same way. Bring up your sons also to be like daughters, and bring up your daughters to be like sons, and treat them absolutely equal. That is how I think the new generation has to go.
Okay, we also have Sriram who's saying hi, Sriram. Hi, Anita. This is
Hi,
Sriram.
Sriram.
How are you
Nice to
doing?
know you. You are one of the few people who's older than me. If you're the one from the pole.
Yes, he is one from the pole. Indeed. So we have Suman
Okay.
who's asking you, saying that I've been told that despite being a high performer at work, my progress has to be put on hold because I have chosen my family over being in office every single day. I was shocked and depressed to hear that even now, when we as mothers have to choose and can't always have both. Yes, can women
That's
have it all? That's, I think,
No, I think as a culture, as a society, we need to put raising the family same pedestal as work, because that is equally important, and it's no less than work. And why should it only be the domain of women? Right? Like I said, a child is a joint responsibility and a joint decision, and both must share the load. So I think women may expect things from their organization as well as their homes. And in many cases, at least in the research that I have done, women seem to say that the challenge at home is much bigger than the challenge at work. And that needs to change.
I hope, Suman, you got your answer to that. We have Janani asking another question. She's asking you, do you see yourself revisiting the enablers that you have mentioned in the book and in the future to add more of them?
I'm sure as things change, as mindsets change, you will have more and more enablers. I was very happy to see, because I've been going around promoting the book and speaking to different kinds of audiences. I think I've been most delighted by the response from fathers, because I think, more than their wives, because I think their wives' careers are almost done and there's nothing that they can do. So while they realize that, maybe they've not done anything to support their wives in that sense, for their daughters, they definitely want a more equal world. And I see fathers becoming huge enablers. You see that was things in ads as well. I love the Havells ad. Not
Uh,
Havells, what was it? The lighting? Havells? No, Polycab.
the-
Polycab,
okay.
where he puts up the lights for the girls. I think it breaks a lot of stereotypes. The
Uh,
girl in sport and ambitious, and the fathers doing that. So we want more of those.
yeah. I'm reminded of another ad where where the father and mother are visiting their daughter, and the father is seeing the daughter doing all of the chores, and then he kind of reminisces the fact that he never did any of the chores that his wife was doing. And
Correct.
then, so I
Yeah.
can't recall which ad was that, but I
So
do
there
recall,
is
yeah.
the signaling is getting there. Like Cadbury's used to have this girl dancing,
Yeah,
telling
yeah.
her boyfriend this, and
Friend
now
is
it's the
now it is
reverse.
the other way around.
Yes.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
we need more of these kind of messages for
Absolutely.
young people,
Aerial ad.
especially.
Yes. Yeah. Somebody's saying it is an aerial ad. Thank you. Thank you for that tip. So somebody's asking any specific tips as we women measure ourselves with our own yardsticks to get out of the guilt trips that we give importance to work over personal life.
Uh, like I said, don't be hard on yourself, because whatever you do, guilt is part of the female psyche. So, and it's got nothing to do with success or having something or not having something. So, people who work, women who don't work, women who have children, who don't have children, everybody goes through guilt. So, I think you need to pat yourself on the back a little bit, which is not something that women do often enough. Again, I think it has its roots in patriarchy. And I think you need to just be thick skinned and not allow people to make you feel guilty. Because a lot of times there's outside guilt. So there's an inner voice and there's an outer voice, and both need to be combated.
Thank you, Anita. It was an absolutely emphatic session, and I would have loved to have you more and discuss more. And I can see questions just pouring in. Somebody's asked for a quick snapshot on the book and its summary. I would leave Anita to kind of, give, a snapshot and on the book.
Yeah,
And
so
yeah,
it's called Equally Different, and the tagline is Career Catalyst for the Professional Woman. And so by catalyst, I mean, situations, conditions, people, and mindsets that are useful, and those that come in the way, and how you can eliminate them. So it's a kind of 360-degree approach about what women themselves must do, how they can help themselves, and what families can do, what organizations can do, what society can do. Uh, it's it's food for thought. So I hope your viewers would look at the book and decide that they might learn something from it.
I'm
Thank
sure.
you.
I'm sure there are many takeaways from the book. Thank you so much, Anita. Wow, wasn't that an inspirational conversation with Anita Bhogle, who personifies the true Indian woman professional? Thanks a lot, Anita, for having taken the time out of your busy schedule and to be part of the day one of the second edition of Diversity Mahotsav. It was wonderful having you.
Thank you, Lakshmi, for a wonderful conversation, and thank you to everybody who kind of tuned in just to listen. Yeah, you can look
Thank
at
you.
equally and different. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Anita. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye. Thank you so much for the wonderful participation, my dear audience. You've been great. With this, we have kickstarted our month long celebration, Diversity Mahotsav. We would once again like to thank our partners, featured partners, Kellogg Brown and Root Engineering and Construction India Private Limited and Saint Gobain India Private Limited. Our social media hashtags are hashtag Diversity Mahotsav, hashtag Celebrating Diversity. Do post your experience at Diversity Mahotsav on your social media handles with the hashtags. On behalf of Team Avatar, I thank each one of you and welcome you to the next 15 days of Diversity Mahotsav. Please remember, Diversity Mahotsav this year is between December 1 to 23rd and only on weekdays between 4 and 5 p.m. As we draw close to the day, I'm going to request you to take a couple of minutes and provide your feedback on the today's session. Can we have the poll, please? How would you rate today's session on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the minimum and 5 being the maximum? Please mark your choices here. How would you rate our speaker Anita Bhogle session on a scale of 1 to 5, again 1 being the minimum and 5 being the maximum? And is there anything else that you wish that the session could have covered in today's topic? Please give your suggestions in the text box given below. And if there is anything else that you would want to suggest as a topic that you wish to hear from us during the Diversity Mahotsav, Please give your suggestion in the text box. And finally, what is your takeaway from today's session? Please do give your feedback. We would love to listen from you. Your feedback is absolutely valuable to us. I do not see anybody participating in the poll. I request everyone to participate in the poll that is there up on your screens and give your feedback on Diversity Mahotsav, day one of Diversity Mahotsav. Meanwhile, I hope you remember that the Diversity Mahotsav is also being live streamed on the YouTube channel. Scan the QR code that is there on your screens to watch Diversity Mahotsav live on YouTube. And alternatively, you can also use the link that has been shared in the chat window as well as seen on your respective screens, mobile, laptop, or computers, to watch Diversity Mahotsav episodes live on YouTube. We would love to hear from all of you on the today's session. Please do provide your feedback on this. Please rate the session on a scale of 1 to 5 and then tell us about how did you find today's session with Anita Bhogle, author of the book Equal Yet Different, today on a scale of 1 to 5. Great. We will continue with the poll. Meanwhile, I will quickly take you through tomorrow's session. Tomorrow, we have Zehen Kashyap, who is a change maker, and will all be talking on the power of differentness tomorrow. We also have Ms. Swarnalata J, who is the founder and managing trustee of Swarag Foundation. Please do visit myavatar.com, the diversity hiring portal, to explore various opportunities and activities that celebrate diversity. If you're not yet registered at the portal, do log on to myavatar.com, or you can scan the QR code that is available on your screens to register at myavatar.com. Browse through to find jobs that might suit your skill sets, read articles of your interest, upskill yourselves through various webinars that are being conducted and hosted exclusively for you. Do not forget to provide your valuable feedback to us, which is there right up on your screens as the poll. Please do take the poll and give us your feedback so that we come back to you again, yet another enriching experience every day at Diversity Mahotsav. And yes, don't forget to log in again tomorrow at 4 p.m. for another absolutely emphatic session with Zehen Kashyap and Miss Swarnalata J. Till then, this is Lakshmi Vijay Kumar who is signing off. Take care and stay safe. And I hope you all have completed your feedback forms. Thank you so much for joining in today.